Long ago, in the village of Amici, there lived a young and beautiful woman named Ada. She was the only child of Mazi Unduka and his wife Ogade. Like her mother, Ada's beauty was striking, and soon she began to attract the attention of many men. She, however, rejected them all, for she already had a man she intended to marry in a few years. Yet, her refusals did not stop the suitors. They kept coming in large numbers, bringing expensive gifts. This became the order of the day. Other maidens grew jealous of Ada. They could not understand what made every reputable man desire her. One of them, a woman named Unzube, started a rumor that Ada had used charms to bewitch men, claiming that the bead she wore on her wrist held magical powers. When Ada heard this rumor, she only laughed, not because she needed to prove herself to anyone, but simply to silence the gossip she took off the beads. Abuchi, Ada's betrothed, was uneasy about the constant attention she received from men, but Ada often reassured him, saying he was the only one she loved and would ever choose. Over time, the endless streams of lavish gifts began to awaken greed in Ada's father. Though he and his wife had once agreed never to accept gifts from any man Ada did not wish to marry, temptation soon overcame him. One day, a wealthy stranger arrived at Maduka's compound, richer than any man who had come before. He introduced himself as Okuomi, meaning what he says he will do. His gifts were beyond imagination: chests of gold, diamonds, rare jewels, horses, and servants. Maduka could not resist. He invited the stranger to sit and offered him a cup of water and even some palm wine. Ada was not at home when Okuomi arrived, but a few minutes later she returned, laughing and chatting with her friends. She noticed a handsome man of about 35 years with a charming smile sitting in the courtyard. Ada greeted him politely and went into the house. Soon after, her father called her to sit beside him. "Ada, you know how we have struggled all these years just to survive," he began. "Our prayers have finally been answered. The young man outside has come to ask for your hand in marriage. Please, my daughter, accept him. He will make us rich and happy." Ada sat quietly, deep in thought. She loved Abuchi dearly and could not imagine a life without him. "I'm sorry, father," she said softly. "I cannot marry him. My happiness is with Abuchi. He is the one I want to spend the rest of my life with, not the man outside." Her father's face darkened with anger. "You ungrateful daughter, so wicked at heart. You would rather choose that poor farmer than marry the rich man who could lift this family out of suffering." "Rich? What kind of rich man, father? A rich farmer? A rich merchant? A rich king? You don't even know what he does, yet you want me to marry him. Who is truly wicked here? You, who would sell your daughter to a stranger for wealth?" she cried before running out of the room to Abuchi's hut. Meanwhile, Okuome waited patiently. After a while, Maduka emerged and told him that Ada had accepted his proposal. He urged him to return with his people in 14 market days for the marriage. Okueme smiled broadly, believing his wish had come to pass. He had heard tales of Ada's beauty from the distant lands where he traded goods, and though he knew she had rejected many men, he thought his great wealth might win her over. Little did he know of her father's deceit. Later, Ogade returned from a women's meeting and saw the gift filling the compound. Surprised, she asked her husband who had brought them. "They are from Ada's husband-to-be," Maduka said proudly. Ogade's face lit up. "Really? Did she finally accept this man?" "No," Maduka admitted, "but I will make her. We can't continue to live in poverty when riches lie within our grasp." Ogade stared at her husband in disbelief, disgust curling her lips. "What do you mean you will force her? Wait, did you accept all those gifts and promise our daughter's hand in marriage without her consent?" "Why would you do that, my husband? This is not fair to her," Ogade said sadly. "It's not fair to us either. The world is not a fair place," Maduka replied. Ogade felt deeply disappointed in her husband. Her daughter's happiness was at stake. She waited anxiously for Ada to return, and when she did, her face was swollen from crying. Ogade embraced her and whispered that everything would be all right. Then she told Ada about the strange man who had come bearing gifts and that he would be returning in 14 days to marry her. Ada wasn't surprised that her father had accepted the man's offer on her behalf. Shockingly, she agreed to marry the man, leaving her mother speechless. It was that day, Ada met with Abuchi again and told him everything. Abuchi told her to take some of the gifts the stranger had brought so they could elope. And it would be good since her parents' eyes wouldn't be on her as she had agreed to the proposal. Without thinking too much, Ada agreed and quickly devised the plan. That night, when her parents were deep asleep, she quietly went to the room where the treasures were kept. She packed as many jewels as she could fit into a big bag and slipped out through the back door. When she arrived at Abuchi's hut, she ran into his arms. Seeing the bag of jewels, Abuchi took it from her with a smile, and together they fled into a distant village where they would not be found easily. Life there was comfortable. Abuchi sold the jewels little by little in the faraway black market and brought the money home to provide for them. When Maduka and Ogadi woke up the next morning, Ada was nowhere to be found. They assumed she had gone to the stream with her friends, but as night fell and she hadn't returned, worry consumed them. They went to Abuchi's hut. It was empty. They searched the village, asking everyone they knew, but no one had seen Ada or Abuchi. Then it dawned on them they had eloped. Ogadi broke down in tears, blaming her husband for forcing Ada into such a desperate decision. But Maduka, still in denial, insists that Ada would return once she got tired of hiding. He held onto that hope until the very day set for her marriage to Okuomi. Even though Ada was safe with her lover, a void lingered in her heart. Not a day passed without her thinking of her parents and the pain she had caused them. 14 days later, Okuomi returned to Amici with several elders from the tribe to witness his marriage. He brought even more gifts for his supposed in-law, but when he arrived at Maduka's compound, he was met with silence. The once lively home was dull and untidy. Confused, he looked around to be sure he was at the right place. Then knocked on the door. Maduka stepped out, his face drawn and weary. "What's going on, Mazi?" Okuomi asked. "Why aren't you preparing for the wedding?" Maduka sighed deeply. "I will go straight to the point," he said. "My daughter ran away with her lover after learning that I forced her to marry you." Okuomi's face darkened. "What? You mean she never agreed to marry me?" "Then why did you lie?" "No, don't answer that. I know why. Greed. You were greedy and now you pay for it." His eyes suddenly turned red, and the sky grew darker. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. "From today," he roared, "I curse your daughter. She shall eat tears for breakfast, lunch and dinner. She shall know no joy. Everything she loves will crumble. And as for you, Mazi Maduka, pain shall be your companion, and regret shall follow you even in death." As his fiery eyes fell upon Ogadi, who was crying helplessly, one of the elders shouted, "Enough! That's enough!" Okuomi threw his hand in the air, and in an instant all the gifts, both old and new, vanished into thin air. Maduka clutched his chest in pain and collapsed. Ogadi screamed and rushed to him, carrying him inside and laying him on their bed. That night, far away, Ada slept uneasily. She dreamed vividly of a strange man in her dreams. Appeared before her. With a snap of his fingers, her clothes vanished. And then he made love with her and she couldn't resist. Ada was still a virgin. She had refused even Abuchi whenever he tried to make love to her. She and Abuchi had planned to return home once things cooled down so they would get married properly. When Ada woke up, she found blood stains on the bed and thought it was her usual monthly flow. Days passed and she began to feel strange. She slept more than usual and vomited several times a day. Ada complained to Abuchi about how unwell she felt, so he brought her some medication. She took it, but her condition never improved. A few months later, her stomach began to grow noticeably larger. Abuchi grew suspicious and asked what was happening. Ada insisted she did not understand. They went together to see a village maternity nurse who examined Ada and congratulated them on her pregnancy. Abuchi stared at her in disbelief, his face a mixture of shock and anger, then turned and walked away without a word. Ada ran after him, crying and begging, swearing that she didn't know what was happening to her. When they returned home, Abuchi lost control. He slapped her hard across the face. "Who is responsible?" he shouted. Ada knelt, weeping. "My love, I don't know. I have never been with any man. You are the only one I love, Abuchi. Please believe me." "Believe you?" he barked. "Then how did you get pregnant? Do you want me to believe that you are a pregnant virgin?" Ada sobbed helplessly. She truly had no idea. Abuchi stormed out, unable to calm himself. From that day, Ada's life became unbearable. Abuchi beat her day and night. Even the smallest mistakes earned her merciless blows. Sometimes she thought of returning to her parents, but she feared they would reject her. Abuchi sat at a nearby bar drinking when he saw an old friend from Amechi named Eze. They hugged and shook hands. "You just disappeared, my friend," Eze said. "No one knew where you went. What has been going on?" "Nothing much," Abuchi lied. "I have been working on something." "And where is Ada? Rumor has it that you left the village with her," Eze asked. "Which Ada?" "No, I left alone," Abuchi lied again. If you were with her, I would have told you to run," Eze said. "She's cursed. Something terrible happened in her father's compound a few months ago. Her father is sick and no one can cure him." "Really? What happened? Tell me everything," Abuchi said, trying to hide his unease. Eze explained all that had happened: Okuomi's curse, Maduka's illness, and how misfortune had befallen Ada's family. Abuchi was stunned. He made an excuse to leave and hurried home. That night, after Ada fell asleep, he went to where the jewels were kept. He took them all. A voice in his head warned him that the wealth was cursed too, but he ignored it, huffed, and left with everything. When Ada woke, she didn't see Abuchi. She wasn't alarmed at first. He often disappeared since her pregnancy. She took a bath, ate breakfast, and waited for him, but he never returned. Loneliness and worry began to consume her. Abuchi returned to Amechi, and when the villagers asked about Ada, he denied knowing where she was. With the stolen wealth, he lived comfortably and soon married another wife without a trace of guilt. Meanwhile, Maduka's health worsened each day. Their money was gone, and no healer could cure him. Ogadi wept from morning till night, still in disbelief of how quickly their lives had fallen apart. She missed Ada terribly, though a part of her feared she might already be dead. A week after Abuchi's disappearance, Ada went to get some money to buy food, but found the box empty. Alarmed, she checked the place where the jewels were kept. They were all gone. "Abuchi, you have killed me," she screamed. "You have killed me, Abuchi." She wept until she could no longer cry. Her eyes were swollen and her heart empty. Suddenly, a sharp pain tore through her stomach. Her scream was so loud that neighbors rushed in and carried her to the midwife's hut. Ada was in labor for 2 days and went through excruciating pain. She had no visitors, no family, no friends. She and Abuchi had kept to themselves, following his order to avoid others, so the villagers saw them as proud and unfriendly. Now, her isolation came back to haunt her. On the 3rd day, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. The midwife pitied her and refused to take payment. Ada named her Udo, meaning peace. The neighbors, realizing that the man she lived with was gone, decided to look after her. A kind woman named Nne cared for Ada as if she were her own daughter. But a week after Udo's birth, the baby still hadn't opened her eyes. Ada grew worried, fearing her child might be blind. 2 weeks later, Udo finally opened them, and Ada gasped in shock. Her baby had 2 different colored eyes. She broke down in tears, calling herself cursed. Everything in her life had gone wrong since that night. It wasn't long before Nne discovered the strange secret and told the other villagers. Fear spread quickly, and together they decided to drive Ada and her daughter out of the village. Homeless and broken, Ada carried Udo into the forest. She no longer cared what happened to her. She had surrendered to fate. After walking for hours, she stumbled upon a small tattered hut. It was filthy, but she cleaned it as best as she could and lay Udo down to rest. She too fell asleep but soon awoke when Udo cried. Ada tried to breastfeed her, but her breasts were dry. The baby cried herself back to sleep. Carrying Udo on her back, Ada set out again to search for food. She found the mango tree, plucked some fruit and ate, then heard the sound of rushing water. Following it, she found a stream, where she bathed and drank before returning to the hut. Life was hard, but Ada endured. Years passed and Udo grew into a beautiful 5-year-old girl. Despite all the pain and hardship, Ada finally found a fragile peace in the quiet life she shared with her daughter. Ada loved her daughter more than she loved herself. It had been years since Abuchi married his wife, yet no child was conceived. The issue began to trouble the couple, and one day it erupted into a heated argument. When his wife called him impotent, Abuchi slapped her. He was about to beat her when she pushed him away and ran out of the house. That night, Abuchi went to sleep, but when he woke up in the morning, his voice was gone. He was blind and paralyzed all over. He couldn't cry, see, speak, or even move his body. Terror gripped his heart as he tried to understand what was happening to him. Meanwhile, Udo had been pleading with her mother to leave the forest and move to the village, but Ada always refused. Whenever they did go into the village, Ada made Udo cover her face so no one could see her eyes. Mother, Udo asked one day, am I so ugly that I must always cover my face? Are you ashamed of me? Ada's heart ached. No, my love, far from that. You are the most beautiful princess the world has ever known. I only make you cover your face because I don't want the villagers to notice your unique beauty and take you away from me. Udo chuckled and hugged her tightly. For years, Ada had wondered how she had gotten pregnant without ever being with a man. Eventually, she stopped trying to understand. It was a mystery she couldn't solve. One evening, when the moon was high, Ada had just finished telling Udo a story. The little girl fell asleep, leaving Ada alone with her thoughts. She remembered how terrified she had been when she first came to the forest, and she smiled faintly. How time flies, she thought. Then she heard a rustle behind her, thinking it was just a rat or squirrel. She ignored it until she noticed a human silhouette moving closer. As the figure stepped into the moonlight, she saw a very handsome man. The glow of the moon illuminated his face, and she was momentarily entranced by his beauty. Who are you? She asked cautiously. And what are you doing here? It was unusual for anyone to wander into the part of the forest except hunters. The man smiled. I am disappointed you don't remember me. Then it struck her, his face. It was the man who had once wanted to marry her. How is our daughter? He asked calmly. Ada froze. What daughter are you talking about? She is my daughter, mine. Please leave, you are making me uncomfortable. Oh, I just got here, he said softly. You know you hurt me all those years ago. I was so happy to marry you. I would have treated you like a queen, but you hurt me. His eyes were full of pain. Hurt you? She replied, trembling. I don't even know you, only that my father deceived you because of his greed. Before she could move, an invisible force pinned her against the wall. His eyes locked with hers, then suddenly he kissed her. It was strange, yet there was something hauntingly familiar about it. A chill ran down her. She pushed him away, ran into her hut and slammed the door shut. Okuomi chuckled to himself. He found it amusing that she thought a door could stop him, but he didn't pursue her further that night. For years he had lingered in the shadows, watching her suffer. A part of him knew he had been wrong to curse her, for she had never agreed to marry him. Still, he wanted Maduka to suffer, wanted the man's greed to haunt him through his daughter's pain. As Ada lay on her mat, her heart pounded wildly. She had never felt that way before, not even for Abuchi. She touched her lips and smiled softly. It felt magical, she whispered, but with that smile, sleep claimed her. The next morning, she and Udo went about their chores, but Ada couldn't shake one thought. He had called Udo our daughter. What did he mean by that? She told herself she would ask him if he ever returned. That night she waited, but he never came. She convinced herself if he had been her imagination. But yet, deep inside, she wished to see him again. 2 months passed, life continued, and Ada began to move on. Until one bright, beautiful night, she was sitting outside when he appeared again, walking towards her. She stood up startled and turned to go inside, but he caught her wrist and pulled her against his chest. Ada's heart raced. "What is it? Why are you angry?" he asked. "Nothing. Please let me go," she said softly. "How can I let you go when I have missed you so much?" he whispered. His gaze fixed on her brown eyes. "If you had missed me, you would have come to see me," she said before realizing she had spoken her thoughts aloud. Embarrassed, she turned away. "Forget what I said, I want to sleep." Instead of releasing her, he held her tighter. "I have just been occupied, but I'm here now," he said with a gentle smile. Ada couldn't explain it. She barely knew this man, yet her heart felt bound to him. Looking into her eyes, he said, "Ada, please marry me. I want to be with you forever." She hesitated. I don't even know your name, and you don't truly know me, yet you want to marry me?" "I know you well enough," he said. "People call me Okuomi, but my name is Undubisi, and I know that I want to marry you and care for you and our daughter." "Wait," Ada interrupted, eyes wide. "Our daughter? You said that again. What do you mean by our daughter?" Ada asked, her brows drawn together. Undubisi sighed softly. "You might want to sit down for this." Confused, Ada obeyed. He took a deep breath. "Ada, I must tell you something I should have said long ago. The night you conceived Udo, it was because of me. I used my powers to put you into a deep sleep, and I lay with you." Ada's eyes widened in disbelief. Her mouth opened, but no words came. For years she had lived with the misery of her pregnancy, never understanding how it happened. The truth now struck her like thunder. "I was wrong," Ndubisi continued, his voice heavy with regret. "I was selfish. I should have asked, not taken, but I loved you from the very first moment I saw you. My spirit accepted yours. And in my tribe, when a man's spirit chooses a woman, he can never love another the same way again. I tried to fight it, but I couldn't. You lived inside me, even when you were far away." He stepped closer, his eyes glistening. "I cursed your father in anger, but it haunted me every day. I was blinded by pain, not love. I'm sorry, Ada, for the curse, for the suffering, and for the night I took away your choice. If you can find it in your heart to forgive me, I swear, I will spend the rest of my life making you happy. I will treat you like a queen that you are." Ada stared at him in silence. The weight of his words settled deep in her chest. Anger tried to rise within her, but it was crushed beneath exhaustion and the quiet longing she had carried for years. She had no more strength for hatred, and in that moment she felt peace. She looked at Ndubisi, really looked at him not as a man of power, but as someone flawed, repentant and willing to change. Something in her heart softened. "You might know someone for a lifetime and never truly know who they are," she thought. She reached out, took his hands and nodded. It was her silent acceptance of both his apology and his proposal. When morning came, Udo woke to find a man sitting beside her mother. "Mama, who is he?" she asked, rubbing her eyes. Ada smiled. "This is your father." Udo ran into his arms and he lifted her, holding her as if he had known her all his life, which was actually true. Ada watched them and saw the truth in his words. The way he looked at their daughter was pure love. Maybe after all those years, happiness had finally found them. They soon left their hut and began the journey to Amechi. Along the way, Udo pulled out her scarf to cover her face. "Why are you doing that?" Undubisi asked gently. "Because people stare," she murmured. He smiled and touched her cheek. "You don't have to hide anymore. Daddy will always protect you." When they arrived in Amechi, the villagers gave them strange looks, but no one dared to speak. The once lively compound was now covered in dust and weeds. Ada rushed into the hut and saw her father lying weak on the mat. She fell to her knees beside him, tears streaming down her face. Her mother, Ogadi, appeared at the doorway and froze when she saw Ndubisi behind Ada. Mother, please don't be afraid, Ada said quickly. Everything will be all right. Ndubisi stepped forward. Get me a glass of water and some salt, he said calmly. He sprinkled the salt over Maduka's body and told Ogadi to put a pinch into his mouth. He will recover in a few days. Then Ada introduced Udo to her mother. Ogadi's eyes filled with tears as she reached out, trembling hands to touch her granddaughter's face. Her smile returned faint but real. That evening, Ada cleared the compound and prepared dinner. They ate together for the first time in years. After putting Udo to bed, Ada sat outside under the moonlight, lost in thought. She felt a warm hand on her shoulder and turned. I thought you were asleep, she said softly. No, my love. How could I sleep while you are awake? He replied, sitting beside her. What are you thinking about? Ada hesitated. I was thinking about Abuchi. His expression darkened slightly. Why think of him when you have me? She smiled faintly. It was always him before. I would have done anything for him, but he left me without a thought. It's all in the past now. I have you, and that's all that matters. She sat on his thigh, resting her head against his chest. His warmth and scent made her feel safe. I love you, Ada, he whispered, and I will never stop loving you. She blushed. No one had ever told her that before, not even Aguchi. I love you too, Undubisi, she said softly. Please don't ever leave me. Never, he replied. The man Ada had prayed for all her life. Her only regret was not opening her heart to him sooner. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share. See you in our next one. Bye.